Hello, and welcome to my presentation. I am Kevin McIntyre, and this is creating a database with MySQL using Linux. Now, what is a database? A database is a collection of related information made up of database objects called tables. Tables are made up of rows and columns, and each column in a table is known as a field. Fields contain a single piece of information relevant to the table, and each row in a table is known as a record. Records are the individual entries of a database that contain information relevant to the field. Now, you may be thinking this sounds like a lot like a spreadsheet. Why not just use a spreadsheet? Well, spreadsheets are limited in their abilities to hold and utilize data. Databases scale to hold large amounts of data, and it also allows data to be utilized by multiple users. When you have a spreadsheet that's just a file on your computer, chances are you're going to have to be at your computer to make changes to that file, and databases can be accessed over the internet by programs to make changes, and that can allow for a lot of cool things. As I just said, databases can be controlled by programs. Entries in a database can be used as variables, and values can be changed dependent to you know according to what you want your program to do, and that can allow for a lot of cool things. Now, why are we using Linux? Linux is an open source operating system available to everyone for free. So, you can just go into Google, type in Linux, and they got a whole bunch of different flavors for you to choose from depending on how well you feel you can adapt to a new operating system. Now, you ask any developer and they're going to tell you that real development is done using Linux. That's because Linux offers tools to developers to allow for free and fast development. It is part of the open source LAMP software bundle, LAMP standing for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and oftentimes today it's PHP. Originally it was Perl. It's becoming more common for people to be using Python, but of course you don't have to use a programming language that begins with P. People use Java, Ruby. You should use whatever you feel is best applicable to your project. And finally, using Linux makes you feel like an elite hacker. It's just fun to use. You open a terminal, you enter commands, and you have the computer do your bidding. Now, why are we using MySQL? Well, as I just said, it is part of the LAMP software bundle, so it is open source. And the fact that it's open source means that it's free and the code is readily available. And the fact that that code's available means changes can be made to it, and that allows for a lot of flexibility. It's also very scalable. MySQL is used in data warehouses to control terabytes and terabytes of data, and all the while it's leaving just a 1 megabyte footprint on your system. And you might be thinking, well, megabyte, that doesn't sound like very much. And it's not very much, but that doesn't mean it isn't high performance. It is a high performance database. It is used by the likes of Google and Facebook, and chances are if it's good enough for them, it's going to be good enough for whatever you're doing. It does allow for comprehensive application development, whether you're making a desktop app, a mobile app, or a web app, chances are you can make use of MySQL. And finally, it's just easy to use. It does use SQL, SQL, structured query language, whatever you want to call it. That is the typical database language used to control a database. And as you're going to see, it really is not that difficult to use. So that's enough with the slides. Let's get to the demonstration. We're going to go ahead and open up a new terminal. And first things first, we need to install MySQL. So we'll go ahead and do that. Enter the password. And it's asking me if I'm okay with the amount of disk space being used. I am okay with 93.5 megabytes, and I need to enter a password to be used for the root user. That's like the administrator account for the server. So there we go. It's going to work. It's installing MySQL. As you can see, it's pretty easy. A lot easier than what you'd have to do on Windows. You'd probably have to go on the internet, go to the site, download the file, find the file, open the file, press next a bunch of times. We're not having to do any of that. It's going right to work for us, and in just a moment, there we are. We're finished. Now we can go ahead, We're going to start up the MySQL server. We're using the root account and enter the password, and there we are. We're ready to go ahead and start creating our database. Now, I'm just going to enter this command, create database, and we're going to call it my first database, and we're ending it with a semicolon. All commands are ended with a semicolon. That lets the system know that you're ready to enter a new command. It says query's okay. Our database is created. We have to, now that's created, we have to tell the server that that's the database we want to use. So the database is changed. Now, as I said, databases are made up of tables, so we're going to have to create a table. Let's imagine that we're using this for a website that will have users, and so our site's going to have members. We're going to make the table site members, and now we're going to have to create the fields or the columns that will make up our table. And let's see, we're going to want last name, so we have our members' names, and we're saying here that it's going to be a string made up of no more than 20 characters. We're going to do the same thing for the first name. And we're going to want an email, so we can send them things, or if they need their password sent to them, we could do that. And we're going to make that 50 characters because email addresses can be long. Our users are going to need usernames. And let's get their birthday. We're going to use the date variable for that. And we want to know whether or not they're male or female. So we're going to use gender and just use one character for that. All we'll need is M or F. And we're going to want to know where they're from. So let's get their location. And there we go. We have a table created. But if we go ahead and query our table, which is like call it, see what's in it. Empty. Well, table's not so useful if there's no data in it. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna insert a record or a row into the table. So we're gonna do insert into site members, and we have to say which fields we're going to be inserting this into. And then we're going to enter the values for which we want our record to have. And let's make Fred Flintstone. He wants to make an account with us. His email. Yabba dabba. And his username, he's a middle-aged man in the Stone Age. He's going to be Dino Hunter 42. Obviously his birthday is going to be, BC, but no one puts in their real birthday anyway, so let's just make it the typical January 1st, 1980. He is a male, and he is from the town of Bedrock. And query OK. So now we have a record put into our table. Let's try to query our table now and see what comes up. There it is. So there you have it. Our database is created. It has a table, and it's as easy as that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching.